Hello, my name is Zach Correa,
I'm Mira,
and we are presenting the belt concept for this,
the Queen's Belt.
the Queen's Belt specifically. Okay, so our mission is to bring life back into the city of Aberdeen by creating a hub that will cater to diverse age groups while restoring the grassroots culture of authentic Scotland. The heart of the hub is the shed, rendering protected outdoor green space all year round, comprised of a custom green skin system which allows the building to breathe while filtering clean air into the space. The shed expands and retracts over an adjacent outdoor park depending on the season. Its programmatic function is in providing a variety of uses ranging from coffee sit-down to amphitheater performance space. The market presents the hands of Aberdeen, expressing original craft. The market answers the question, what is Aberdeen? Through a series of local craft vendors open to the public for showcasing the making and tasting of the city. Woven throughout the hub are nodes of intervention activated by the casual skateboarder enthusiast. This is all held together by the belt, an integrated boardwalk, cradling the contents of this vibrant and luminous city center.
So during coming up with, we focused on mainly the belt and how it rotates around every intervention that we added, but also the entrances and how we try to attract people to come in and see how the belt and what are all the interventions that are trying to make a new social life and gathering. Even though the weather is a big problem in Aberdeen, and we thought through the greenhouse and adding more green and having a system that can bring heat in, can allow people to go out more publicly and social.
So we really believe that green is the new granite. So first there was this granite, then oil, and we think the next step is green. All of them came from within Scotland, underneath the soil, right? Like within the soil. And so we want to focus on this authentic Scotland, nothing imported, nothing brought from outside. And so because of that, we are also now shifting our gears to this idea of craft and making, which is also authentic Scotland. It's also from the hands of being brought forth from the people, generated from not only the land, but also from the hands of Scotland. And so this project really focuses on what is Scotland, what is authentic Aberdeen, and how can we see how it functions and then taste it. So in this site plan, we see that there's a belt that runs along the entire intervention here. We have the main thoroughfare here that is going to be converted into a bus only, and then we have this other main road here. And so the two main views that come from the street sides are here and here into the site. We have a market, a permanent market, which is here. This is where the craft section occurs. And then we have these
Bench and planters, basically, to allow people to sit down and enjoy parts of the intervention, and also to have vegetation, but the spaces between every.
So in our master plan, we have this belt that cradles everything, right? This is the boardwalk that wraps our entire intervention. And within the boardwalk, we have our main elements, the shed, which is at the heart of our intervention, and that has the retractable skin that comes out over the open space here. We have the permanent market with a breezeway that opens up to the main view that comes straight through and slices through the intervention, straight out from this street to this street. We have a children's center here with an open courtyard in the middle for safe playing, and we also have a residential tower right next to it, adjacent to the children's center. We have the big U, which is we'll get in more detail about what that is, but that's going to be more of an iconic landmark for business. And then we have the townhouse here, which is actually elevated up off the street. And so all you're seeing here on the floor plan are the reflecting pools that it rests over top. And this actually bridges right across the street here, grabbing people's attention from this main roadway and turning it into the intervention on here. We have the church up here for orientation purposes. And then our green spaces are here in between the townhouse and the residential tower and the big U. And then we have another green space here, which the shed comes out to cover during winter time. We have another green space here in between the church and the market for people to, when they go up to the second floor to taste, they can look down in the market. And then we have another refreshment, we call it the refresh station, which is essentially a place where you go to use restrooms and get coffee and things like that. And so now we're going to detail about some of the specifics of those elements.
So we removed the original townhouse from over here, and we added the new intervention, which is shown over here. So the townhouse, basically the first 2 floors is office space, and there's where the wooden new material comes in, as it's shown in the section over here. This is where basically all the main social space for the people in the townhouse, but also the rooftop acts as a greenhouse or a green space with a perforated roof panel that is made out of stainless steel. The main purpose is for the sunlight to be reflected into different spaces to give heat and allow photosynthesis for some plants to occur and keep it in, even though it's the thing that allows the sunlight to be used as much as possible. And then over here in between, there's the zone where basically there's a lot of entertainment coming from the Big U, which is basically a skateboard park, but can be used as other alternatives. For example, if there's sun, people can just sit down and relax and enjoy the sun over there. But also, it enjoys the water reflection pool, and then there will be some intervention of benches, and between where the residential tower comes in, there's also like art studios. It's open for some art studios that is shown in this perspective at this point, where all the artists come in and they can display their work into this space. The shed is the concentrated weeping elm tree that goes into they're like planned, but it's shown in this section where we put the specific tree because that was one of the trees as being in this space that right now Queen Street. It has one elm tree, and it's just like very magnificent. It's very nice. So we decided to take that tree and make a zone for it where it becomes also the performance space or a social that's close to the market, the local crafts market. So there are many different kinds of crafts that people can enjoy and maybe bring it into the Weeping Elm Zone, which is also as a shed. The shed is the facade of the building moves, and in the summer it would be open and for people to enjoy the open space, but when it gets cold it could close, but it's still an indoor public open space enjoying vegetation as well. And the moving facade helps to turn it into a greenhouse.
Yeah, and so speaking of the greenhouse, that's one of the key features of our concept here for this location. Is Aberdeen has a very, very low angle to the sun, which means that, especially during winter time, there's not much sunlight. So we've added several elements to help to increase the amount of natural sunlight, and also some artificial elements to increase the amount of full spectrum radiation into solar radiation, essentially, but artificial solar radiation into these greenhouses to allow for plants to grow year-round. So the skin system, as shown in here, is essentially a 4-foot deep cavity. It's an extra zone to the buildings. And what that zone does is it will actually allows the buildings to, we rethink how does the building breathe, and so the building will begin to breathe through its skin. So what will happen is not only will it contain the an atmospheric pressure and the temperature within the greenhouse, but it also, as it brings in fresh air from the outside to filter, the plants will filter through, and we'll be able to treat it through a series of desiccants and other things for dehumidification purposes, and then import that into the building. Now, the greenhouse skin will also be lit up. So it's not only going to be a greenhouse, but it'll be more like a lighthouse. So specifically at nighttime, these buildings will light up and you'll have these glowing green facades. And so the purpose of these plants is not only to provide fresh air for the interiors of the buildings, filled with oxygen and but also to increase well-being with the visualizing the green, and also to produce more. So we have plants that are now producing, and it's about this making culture, right? So the buildings themselves, not just the people that inhabit it, but the buildings themselves are actually producing.
Okay, so when you're walking down Broad Street, you will see a building that is bridging over Broad Street, which is this building. And this building is the new townhouse. So we open 2 spaces in between to allow pedestrian walk, but as you're walking through it, you will see a new material on the ground that is the belt, which is right over here. And in the sections, it's shown right over here and right over there. So the belt consists of a lot of people walking through it, so there's a current that takes you into it and starts taking you around the new intervention. So starting from here, underneath the townhouse, there are reflecting pools that basically becomes like a quiet zone for people, but then right next to it, there's a big open space where the big U is, and there's another building that consists of shared office space. And
really consider it kind of like a gym membership, but instead of a gym membership, it's office space membership in a way. So you go there and you can kind of use the office spaces that are available, and there's various sizes. So it's more of like for an entrepreneurial business owner who needs some temporary space.
Yeah, and then the big U is attached to it, so it doesn't really become something that's formal, but it's something that someone can go in the shared office space, have a meeting, and then maybe go out and have an entertainment through the big U, which could act as a skateboard park or someplace where when there's a sun you can enjoy the sun, or if an event is going over here. So it's basically like an adult entertainment or a social, also can act as a social space. But when we walk down the belt a little more, there's a tower that basically is a mixed-use tower. There's residential mainly. There's also a greenhouse at the top, and there's art studios. So the fact that this space is surrounded by the townhouse, shared office space, and the residential, it starts bringing different groups of people together in this shared space, but also enjoy like the vegetation, the calm, and
one of the main reasons of incorporating residential into the middle of this is because business seems to be concentrated in this area, and so we wanted to introduce a different type of business office space system for those who maybe aren't interested in what's available. So we have that big U is really a small building dedicated to a different type of business office space. And then the residential tower is essentially designed to really continue to have foot traffic throughout this central space and not have it die down after 5 o'clock.
Yes, and then through the perspectives, we just want to show that as you're walking through Broad Street, this is the view that you get of the new green, showing how there is something new coming here. And then the pedestrian takes you down into this big space that's between the big U, the tower, and the townhouse. And then while we move down to the belt, there's a children entertainment center. And there's a courtyard in the middle of this children entertainment center that allows the children to, maybe if they're in the nursery, because part of it could be a nursery, and they could play together there. But also the space right beside it over here is full of children place, so that it can also like become an outdoor space for children to go and play. So it is shown here in the section how this is the building for the children, and then the space right next to it just to be connected to each other, and maybe it can become their little area. And then we walk through right next to it is the market, like locals craft market.
Sure.
Do you want to talk
Sure,
about it?
yeah. So the market is an area where, like we were saying, it's about authentic Aberdeen. What is it making? What's being produced there? And so we have artisan craft makers. That will be essentially on the first floor. So as you walk through this area, either on this side here, in between the shed and the market, or around the belt here, you look into these shops on the first floor, and you'll see people making things, right? Whatever it might be, making things with their hands. So it's about this making. And so you come in, something interests you, you come in, you see how it's made, you can learn what goes into actually producing this product, right? And then at the second floor is where the tasting occurs. And so that's where you can purchase your product. You can take it upstairs. If it's a food product or something to be consumed, then you can enjoy it upstairs. And you can look out over the open space, this green space here in between the market and the church. The next space, as we move around the loop into, is down an alleyway. And so what happens is, for those who are a little bit more curious, we have a special surprise here. There is an open courtyard in between a lot of the existing buildings here in the context. And we saw this space and we wanted to really take advantage of what could be an icon there. Something that's connected back to the university. And so we wanted to actually build a green tower essentially there. And so this is really a dedicated greenhouse with a circulation stairwell in the middle of it that allows you to travel up and down this structure in order to access various garden plateaus, I guess, on the facade at different levels that you go up to. So people in the public, it's essentially an urban garden, but not in the traditional sense. It's an urban vertical garden. And so it's really focused in this place right here. And that's for people who, it's not something that's extremely advertised, but it's something that the locals really know. People who really go exploring will find this. And so as you come back, we have the shed here. And the shed is mainly about performance space. We have a few other areas for performance. What's the name of that?
Lemon tree.
The lemon tree here. And
then there's the art center over there, and then the church usually hosts performance. So it was basically a perfect intervention to allow, because talking to students in Aberdeen, they said that there was a Peter Pan performance that happened outside, but nobody knew about it. So this would be like the perfect place for, not only because there's children performance, there's adult performance, so it's a very good opportunity in a space to bring different group ages together. And in that space, we decided to put something that is dedicated to this space right now, which is the elm tree. So in all the trees that we put in there are elm trees, which basically have this cave-like structure in the inside the tree, which basically also gives a private feeling, but they're also in a public space, which we thought to bring it back to the original space, like something that we want to keep from the original space that's right now.
Yes, and so what this does is this provides a large scale venue for performance. So these are great for more intimate performance venues, but we needed something that was much larger scale, so that's why we introduced the shed. And then we have the refreshments area, which this is kind of a public restrooms, coffee station. It's where when you're out all day, you need to take care of some things, and so you go there and you get your coffee, your snacks, take care of yourself there. And that's sort of its own individual structure that people can. It all brings us back to the belt. Now, we have not only these main entrances into this belt and this intervention here from the street sides, but we also have entrances from the alleyways. And the way we've done that is by appealing to the skateboarder in a way. We have small interventions in here. You can see in this vignette down here that we have kind of ramps and lamps and sidewalks that we were adding in. So this view of coming in through the alleyway is also something that's very important, because we want to not only appeal to the city in a big way, but also in something that's maybe a little more subtle. As you pull in, we have this belt that once again kind of filters people into the space, and this market that cuts straight through. So it's different than the permanent market. We wanted to tie in the community again. So this is the area where you don't have to rent a space to be part of this area. You can bring a tent and you can top it up in between these planters here, all the way through from street to street. And this could be an activity, like a weekly activity where every week people, anyone, they come in, they pop up their tent, they sell whatever they've made, and it encourages local consumers to come in to not only purchase but also to make and sell their own things themselves. And
finally, these are the views that is basically, this is going to the belt, like an entrance, and then when you're walking on the belt, you see the big U, big space and the big U, or this is while you're entering, and you see how people are just renting around with the belt, and finally, this is the market view.
that's through
Through the market, looking through the townhouse. Thank you.
Thank you very much.